You are not gonna see him ever.
Mark Hale. I'd go the far end of the world for you, baby.
A man can't ask for more than that.
You move me, Sale. You really do.
You want me to shoot Sailor in the brains with a gun?
Uh-oh. I didn't have much parental guidance.
Baby, you better run me back to the hotel. You got me hotter than Georgia asphalt.
This whole world's wild at heart and weird on top.
If anyone's wondering, I wear this hat as a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
Stab it and steer.
Hell yeah, baby.
Welcome to Movie Humpers. Oh. Do the moves Laura Dern was doing in the car when they're
Like this.
This movie is very funny to me. Even though it's like fucked up, but
There's a lot of fucked up stuff. But...
yeah, there's violence and rape.
Yeah.
We're welcome to Movie Humpers. My name is Bob Sham.
I'm Angela.
The sound you hear, maybe dogs. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Alice. Just hang out with us. Don't fight it.
Oh, no, she's gonna
Don't
fight.
fight it. Don't
She's
fight
gonna
it.
get you.
Don't. Now her hair's all over me. All right, that was Alice the cat. She's very, you know how cats be. They're like, I want it my way, and that's it. We got a double dose of Uncle Nicky. The other day was Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes.
What a fun one that was. And but this also connects with the movie earlier in the week for our catching up theme, Elvis.
Yes.
Because in this movie, it's another strange love theme movie. We got two themes, catching up on 2022.
Yeah.
And strange love. And this week, strange love dominates.
I love strange love.
With a double dose of Nick Cage, and in this time it's Nick Cage pretending he's Elvis.
Pretending he's a man
He's
who
embodying
loves Elvis.
He's embodying Elvis.
Yes.
With his girl. His name's Sailor, and he's with his girl
Lula.
Lula,
Laura
played by
Dern.
Laura Dern. We're talking about the movie Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch, written by David Lynch, based upon a novel by Barry Gifford, who apparently wrote a few Sailor and Lula novels.
Ooh, maybe I should look them up.
Now, when this movie also overlaps with Twin Peaks.
Yes.
David Lynch filmed the Twin Peaks pilot in '89. And this movie had been developing, and like there is some overlap here. And we see the same people that will appear in David Lynch movies. You know, we got a Jack Nance appearance.
Sherilyn Fenn.
I love Jack Nance.
Oh yes, Jack Nance.
Sherilyn Fenn. John Lurie shows up. He
Yeah.
also shows up in what is that asshole's name? Oh, Down by Law.
Oh,
Midnight.
Yep. That guy.
Why are we forgetting
That
his
guy.
name?
Hallelujah.
Broken Flowers. Jim Jarmusch.
Ah,
John
Brown Bunny.
Lurie appears. No, that's not
I
him.
always do that.
You will never remember who made that movie.
Do I always
You've
say
ac-
it's Jarmusch, or do
no,
I say
you
it's
have
different?
you have accused multiple directors of directing Brown Bunny, and I'm just going to stop correcting you, and I'll just let it be a mystery to you. That's right, Jim Jarmusch, David Lynch directed Brown Bunny, Michael Mann directed Brown Bunny, Catherine Bigelow directed Brown Bunny. You know, Martin Scorsese, proud director of the film Bad. I was going to say Bad Bunny, Brown Bunny.
Oh god.
My favorite movie is probably Brown Bunny, directed by Sofia Coppola, where dicks get sucked. There's some dick sucking in that movie.
It's a real dick sucking.
You do remember that part,
I remember
right?
that part. Chloe Sevigny was doing the dick sucking.
Yeah. Wow, you remember that part. You just don't know who made it. You still don't know.
I do in somewhere in my brain. It's in my brain.
Here's
somewhere.
a hint. Whose dick was she sucking
Yeah.
in it?
I know.
What is that guy's name?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the last time I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Vincent Gallo.
Vincent Gallo.
That weird motherfucker, Vincent Gallo. Buffalo 66.
I was gonna say the Christina Ricci movie.
Yeah.
Buffalo
I actually
66.
like that movie. That
yeah, I
movie's
did.
fine.
I really liked that.
But I like
He's
thi-
in that one too.
I like this movie,
yeah.
Wild
I
at
love
Heart.
this movie.
directed by David Lynch.
I love this movie.
And when David Lynch read the book by Barry Gifford, he was drawn to the themes of violence and love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he latched onto. But your typical surrealist fever dream, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about David Lynch movies. It kind of really is.
Yes, because there's a lot of bizarre things happening
And there's
constantly.
a very entertaining tone to David Lynch that is hard to replicate in a conversation, to be like, remember this part?
yeah.
And it is interesting with also the Wizard of Oz stuff is all David Lynch.
Yes, Wizard of Oz everywhere.
And apparently the scene where Sailor's like, I'm just not good for this. I need to walk away.
Yeah.
In the book, he does leave, but David Lynch was like, nah, I don't like that. So he has the fucking Glinda the Good Witch, who is played by Laura Palmer. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name.
We've got like multiple pictures of her in this room.
Cheryl Lee.
Cheryl Lee.
That's right.
Cheryl Lee.
And tells Sailor, go back. You can't give up on love, Sailor.
Yeah.
And goes back to Lula. And we're going to watch The Fablemans next week.
Meet the Fablemans, yes.
Which I keep calling Meet the Fablemans. It's just called The Fablemans. And in that movie, we haven't watched it at this point, David Lynch plays John Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of perfect. John Ford, this all-American director. And all-American shit is actually at the underlying core of all David Lynch movies.
Oh, yeah.
He is absolutely 1,000% pure American culture.
Yeah.
Just revved up to absurdity or surrealism, surreality.
Surreality? Is that a
And
word?
it's all about he's all about the dreams too. He wants things
Dreams
to feel
and
like dreams.
perception.
But if it was like a contest, like you had a bunch of countries to be like, we're having a contest.
Yeah.
And, Spain's going to have their director, Italy's going to have their director, and we're all going to like have a contest. I would pick David Lynch for the United States. Easy.
Really?
Yeah. Because, first of all, Europeans love this guy. They're all watching the weirdest interpretations of American culture. Because at the core of David Lynch's movies, and the reason why people have grasped onto him is because there's the familiar core of that Americana, for lack of a better word, that core of like, he's obsessed with the Wizard of Oz. This character of Sailor is essentially just being Elvis.
Yes.
And, he's obsessed with old movies like Sunset Boulevard and shit like that. And you feel that.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks was about the thing that made Twin Peaks that created the comfort. And I think like his co-producer there, I think Mark Frost, there was a comfort to Twin Peaks that is the baseline to the shit that happens in it that is horrifying and disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why like Twin Peaks is kind of about classic television as anything else.
Absolutely.
It's just turned up into a nightmare.
Yes, because you still have that, like, perfect on the outside, everybody's happy, but that's what's surface.
So even if you're sitting there watching any David Lynch project, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, Twin Peaks, whatever, there is a through line of familiarity there. There is something that you can rest on, even if you're confused by certain scenes and moments.
Yeah.
It's not to the degree that you are completely alienated, because there's always that sense of American life that's always playing through into his movies.
What you just said really sums up how I felt about Mulholland Drive. Because I had seen it when I was younger, did not remember anything about it. I went to see it by myself in the middle of a Saturday afternoon one week, and it really, I don't know what the fuck happened in that movie. I mean, I remember all of it, but I don't know what the fuck was going on.
There is a plan to get to that movie next year.
I want to, because I want to talk to you about it. I'd like to watch it again, having seen it recently. But what you just said makes so much sense. Like, I usually would either write it off as being like, I don't like that movie, whatever. Or I would, like, kill myself trying to, like, figure out what I thought happened. But because it's David Lynch, it's, like, okay. It's like okay to go on this adventure with him and then not know what happened to me afterwards.
He does utilize things like violence and extremities and like the sense of evil and decay. Decay being
just underneath the surface.
Yeah, which is a very obvious theme in Blue Velvet.
Yes.
Angelo Badalamenti,
who has passed away.
Peace. Yeah, he passed away with about a year ago.
But there's a commonality, obviously, using the same composer across all of these different projects that still somehow makes them feel like they're in the same world.
Yes.
Like, it's totally believable to me that the person Laura Dern is playing Lula lives a town over from the meek, almost like exaggeratedly naive girl that she was in Blue Velvet.
Yeah, like these,
you know?
they're all the same characters in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this world, the Wild at Heart world, it's very funny to me. Like, there's the way they're just, and they're all over exaggerated. Like, David Lynch does not want you to feel normal. You know, he doesn't want your voice, your tone to be like, he really hit that scene naturally. No, I feel like he wants, it's hard to say. Like, I'm speaking on behalf of this guy. I don't know him.
Sure.
He's a giant weirdo. We know that.
Yes.
And his transcendental meditation thing is a little culty. But I don't mind because the guy makes fucking amazing movies. I forgot what I was going to say. What were you going to say?
This is sidebar, so maybe you'll remember. I was just going to say, I heard someone posit the idea today that the reason that you're not allowed to share your like transcendental meditation mantra with anyone else is because they only have like 40 of them, and they just like recycle them and are like, don't tell anybody.
He's just making it up right then. There's no plot. If David Lynch could give me the word, is David Lynch giving you the word in the TM seminar?
Not David Lynch, whoever your
why
teacher.
Not?
Well, if he's your teacher,
if you're going to pay that fucking much money, why not just record David Lynch saying a fucking word?
Is this where we admit that I looked into doing transcendental meditation?
Yeah, but we didn't do it.
No, but I looked into
matter.
it, and I was curious about it. It's expensive.
If you're going to pay that much money, I want David Lynch giving me my TM word.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And if he's not going to do it, then that ain't worth it.
Also, if you're interested and you're a student of any kind, that is like the only way to get it without paying a fuck ton of money. So like, do it now before you're out of school. If you really want to do it. But also like, it's meditation. So yeah, the world is... You do it at the library. The Wild at Heart world is a violent world. Almost a comically violent world. It's a passionate world. Yeah. Everything that happens, it's like, from the beginning, the mother puts a hit out on Sailor because she... Diane Ladd, who is Laura Dern's mother, by the way. Which is crazy. It's not really. Like, she has to have a mom. Well, she has to have a mom, and I know her mom is famous, and I think somewhere in my mind, I mean, I knew her mom was an actress. They don't look alike at all. She must look like her dad.
I mean, Diane Ladd looked like she was very much wigged up and shit, so it was hard to peg.
Her hair was a different length than every
I guess her
scene.
dad is Bruce Dern, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bruce Dern busted one off into Diane Ladd. 9 months later, we got a Laura
David
Dern.
Lynch's muse was born.
Yeah.
Oh, everything is passion. So, Diane Ladd makes a pass at Sailor and he won't fuck her. And so she's like, I know things about you, so and I know that you're bad and I'm going to kill you because you won't fuck me and I don't want you to date my daughter. It's very convoluted, but it's all passion. Like, she immediately tries to get this guy to kill him. He kills this guy.
Yeah, it's the first thing
Because
we
he's
see.
protecting his girl and self-defense, right? And so he does go to jail, but it's self-defense, so it's like
manslaughter.
22 months or something. He's a manslaughterer,
Yeah.
they call him. But then, everything to Laura Dern is like so intense that it's like she's constantly touching herself and rubbing herself. And Nicolas Cage's face is always down here.
It's
and
funny.
the mother is always just
It's hilarious.
screaming and breaking, yelling, grabbing things.
She
Everything's
is-
so dramatic.
She's the Wicked Witch.
She is the Wicked
We see her, and there's no subtlety to the Wizard of Oz thing. We see her
No.
foot shriveling up.
They
and
talk about the Yellow Brick Road.
She puts out a hit on Sailor, and
Mm-hmm.
the hitman Santos is like, "We got to kill your new husband too."
Harry Dean
Stanton.
Stanton.
And so Harry Dean Stanton always elevates. Any movie is at least 0.25 score
Higher because of
if
Harry Dean Stanton.
is in it.
Yeah.
And
And he does not disappoint.
And he's like, well, we got to kill your husband, too.
Johnny.
Also, Laura Dern, or Lula's dad, got burnt up. She thought he set himself on fire. And we get this.
That's what her mom told her.
And we get these image flashbacks of just flames.
Mm-hmm.
She also tells a story of, a father's business partner who raped her, and she got pregnant. We find out later that she got an abortion because she was pregnant from
And
that.
her mom killed that man, too.
Yeah.
Which, I'm okay with that one.
Mom's
I'm really okay with that one.
Mom's fucked up, but she does love her daughter.
Yes.
She maybe go about it in the most evil, jacked up way possible.
She loves
but
her
she does
daughter.
love her daughter.
She loves her daughter so much that she would do anything for her daughter, but she needs her daughter with her 100% of the time.
They're really only
And can only love her.
we
She
really
can't have
only
anyone
see
else.
them together in scenes maybe twice, right?
Yeah, and they're far apart from each other at the beginning in the scene. They're on different levels even.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just always forbidding her to be with Sailor.
Yeah.
Just always forbidding. But I just realized that there's 2 times when they're literally stairways apart from each other in a couple scenes. And then at the very end when the mom goes to collect her. That's the only time I remember them touching.
Mm-hmm. The very end too, when she when Sailor's getting out of jail, and she throws the cup of water in the face of on the picture of her mother. She throws.
She's mad at her mom.
That shit was so funny. I mean, this movie's you just kind of got to go along. It's like a fever dream.
Yeah.
You got to go along for the ride. Sailor and Lula, they're classic American ids just turned up to 11. I hadn't
They're
seen
very
this.
sexual.
I hadn't seen this in forever, and by memory, I thought, and maybe it was just from the opening scene, I had this memory that Sailor was a lot more homicidal than he really was.
Yeah.
And he makes some mistakes, but he actually really is a genuinely decent dude.
Yeah, I had remembered it that way too, because no joke, I had forgotten most of this movie. But in that first scene, when he was beating that guy to death, I thought, oh, right, this is a Bonnie and Clyde thing. It's not at all.
No.
But in that moment, I was like, oh, right, he's going to kill people.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
But he doesn't.
This isn't
He's
Badlands.
a good guy.
It's
No, this is not Badlands.
They're gyrating in the cars together. They go into a club where we hear the band is called Power Mad or something. It's like a thrash metal band.
Yeah, sounds right.
And so they'll go into the club, and he has this confrontation with a guy, and he gives a line about his jacket.
Look like a clown in that stupid jacket.
This is a snakeskin jacket.
And for me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom. Asshole.
Then he goes up to the band and he's like, you know, y'all got that energy you got that same energy like E had. And then he's like, see if y'all know this one. And he sings Love Me. But he won't sing Love Me Tender because he only sings that to his wife.
To his wife.
It's just kind of a lot of fun just to soak it in. And they go to New Orleans, and the hitman, they kind of suck at finding Sailor. They just only kill Harry Dean Stanton in this weird ritualistic way.
And the mom, comes down there because she put a hit out on Sailor. And the hitman was like, cool, but I'm also going to kill Harry Dean Stanton.
Why?
And she's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But you know he's going to, and he doesn't do it himself, but he has other people do it for him.
Yeah.
But Harry Dean Stanton dies, but she's come down there, I guess, to save Harry Dean Stanton or make sure he doesn't get murdered.
Yeah, she kind of accompanies him.
But then she leaves him. Okay, listen. If you are trying to get somebody to not get murdered, guess what you don't do? Leave them.
Unless you want to
stay with them.
You need to get killed with them.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying, though? You can't leave them alone.
So
if you're trying to keep them from dying.
So Sailor and Lula, they're all over the place, and they make their way to a Texas town called Big Tuna.
Big Tuna. They're on their way to California, but they're running out of money.
And yeah, things are a little rough. And here in this area, they encounter Jack Nance, who's like,
my dog barks some. Mentally, you picture my dog, but I have not told you the type dog which I have. Perhaps you might even picture Toto from The Wizard of Oz. But I can tell you, my dog is always with me.
That's when we meet a guy named Bobby Peru, who's played by Willem Dafoe. And Bobby Peru is basically like if his gums came all the way down. If your gums came all the way down to the edges of your teeth, the guy is all gums. Yeah. And Willem Dafoe plays this character like the ultimate skis ball.
He does such a good job.
Yeah.
It is so disturbing.
And there's a part where Sailor's introduced to all these weirdo guys, and he's working on his car, and Bobby Peru goes into the room and essentially is sexually assaulting her. He doesn't jump on and full on rape her, but he's like getting up in her face. He's like, say fuck me and I'll leave. Say it, say fuck me and he says this over and over again.
Someday, honey, I will, but I gotta get going.
Until it almost looks like she's kind of enjoying it in a weird part. I mean, she's traumatized and she's also sick too. And she tells Sailor that she's pregnant. Yeah. And Sailor's kind of like, okay. And he smokes, when he hears the news, he smokes 2 cigarettes at the same time.
That was very funny.
But she's like, I'm not going to keep it. She tells him
she says she doesn't know how she feels.
Yeah.
She's not sure how she feels about it. He says he's okay with it.
But
and
she's like, well,
I don't know
not.
if I am.
I'm not,
yeah.
right? So Bobby Peru goes out and encounters Sailor. He doesn't know all that happened. And he gets Sailor to agree to this gig where they can steal $5,000 from this
a feed store or
something like that.
Yeah, in like the next town.
And split it. And Isabella Rossellini plays the daughter of the mother who helped kill Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
And they have this same look with bleach blonde hair and like unibrow shit.
Yeah.
They look very funny.
Yeah.
And so she's the driver. And, Sailor's not feeling this, but they could really use the money.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the whole thing goes tits up because Bobby Peru immediately starts blasting the dudes.
Yeah.
And then
because his plan is to kill Sailor.
So I guess he is part of the hit, right?
He is. So Bobby Peru, there's this whole thing about you get a silver dollar if you're going to be the murderer or whatever. Her mother had one of the silver dollars and killed Johnny. Bobby Peru has the other silver dollar and he's there to kill Sailor.
And so
he's going to make it look like an accident in a robbery gone wrong.
Sailor's trying to prevent him from shooting the clerks.
Yeah.
But it's a dummy pistol. He's like, I gave you a dummy pistol, dummy. There's a part where after they're outside, and it cuts to the clerks, and they're just kind of sliding around in their own blood and shit. Yeah, and they're like, where's the hand? And a dog runs off. Yeah. Like, it's just like this hyper-violent, like, comical shit. And there's a part where Sailor gets outside, and Bobby's trying to... And Bobby Peru can't, like, stop himself. Like, every time he's about to do something insidious, he's like a wrestler, right? That's like posturing before he does the act. He just has to cackle cause he's just so fucking evil. And then the shotgun slips out of his hand and blows his head off. And it's just this gore scene where it's just like flop. We see just meat, like...
I didn't realize that's what happened because the cop was also shooting him.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's why his head flew off. I was a little confused by that.
He blew his own head off.
Oh my God. Bobby Peru.
Man, those are a beautiful set of gums.
Oh God.
Sailor is locked up.
Yeah.
He's locked up for 6 years.
And Lula never goes to visit him, but she writes to him and she
Raises
writes him and tells
kid.
him that I'm going to keep the baby. She's living with her mama and she's going to be there when he gets out.
And there's all these references to Wizard of Oz, of course. Even the transitionary scenes, we see a hand going over like a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Like it's Diane Ladd trying to find them and where they're going. And I guess, and when Laura Dern, Lula, is like, when she's feeling like particularly traumatized, especially in the Bobby Peru scene, she's like tapping her shoes together like she's
her red heels.
Dorothy.
Yeah, and she at one time is very upset and she sees an image of her mother in the sky as the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
They talk about like getting knocked off the yellow brick road. Somebody need to go see the Wizard of Oz, like different things throughout it. She also has sort of these like, she almost has premonitions because one scene that really got to me was the night before Sailor went with Bobby to do the robbery. They were laying in bed and she was like, hey, he is a black angel.
Yeah.
He is evil. And you don't need to mess around with him because if you do, you're going to get in trouble if you come back at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And she just started crying and he's like, no, baby, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine, right? Because he's trying to take care. But she knew, and she basically is like begging him, knowing that he's not going to listen to her.
There was one part that apparently is not in the book, David Lynch put it in, is when they roll upon this accident.
Oh my God, right.
And Sherilyn Fenn is there and they see that people are dead. And then Sherilyn Fenn runs up, but she's like dying.
She's like a head wound.
And she's like scratching her open head wound.
That was like so upsetting.
And I'm wondering that's why I had to look up and see how it laid out with Twin Peaks. Like, is this because if this came out a little after, is this like what happens to Audrey?
No.
But she's laying on her back and blood's just pouring out of her mouth and she's like, give me my lipstick.
Yeah, where's my purse?
Where's my lipstick, my purse? And then she dies.
Don't tell my mom. It was really actually, she did a great job in that scene. It was like very impactful, I think.
And so finally Sailor gets out of prison and Diane Ladd just fails ultimately. She does get her daughter back for a little while, but then in the end, she just goes off with him again.
So Lula and their son, Pace.
They go and get him out of jail.
Yeah, gets him out of jail.
And then and so they're leaving and he stops and he's like...
freaks out.
And he freaks out. And apparently in the book, he does say it's better for them if they're separated. And apparently in the book, they do separate. But David Lynch was like, no, I don't think so. So he's walking off.
The love has to conquer.
And he gets beat up by this gang of people who...
And they knock him out.
And then he gets up and, like, apologizes to them.
Because he has a vision while he's knocked out of the Good Witch.
Who is Laura
Cheryl
Palmer.
Lee.
Cheryl Lee. So Cheryl Lee is playing the Good Witch, and she's like, you can't say no to love, sailor. You got to go back and find your girl. Yeah. So he sprints down. He thanks the gang who beat him up.
He leaves his bag there. They just get to have his stuff. And he runs over cars to get to Lula.
He catches her stuck in traffic, and they get back together, and him and his son.
And
Pace.
He pulls her up onto the hood of the car.
And sings Love Me Tender.
And he sings Love Me Tender.
Yeah. And that's, there's a lot of weird, bizarre, goofy, funny, brutal details that we definitely can't cover all in this discussion.
My cousin Dale was always fighting bad ideas. See, Dale loved Christmas. We used to call him Jingle Dale.
Wild at Heart is like a fever dream love story about a couple in a world of intense violence.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it, their love lives on with an assist from the Glinda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. So there you go. We hump movies.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna hump this one. You're gonna give 1 through 5. I'm gonna give it 1 through 5 combined for best out of 10.
Yes.
For this strange and brutal love story, Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch.
I think I'm gonna go with a 4.25.
I used to think that maybe this was my favorite one, but favorite David Lynch movie. I think my favorite David Lynch movie at this time is probably Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Because I do, to me, that's probably a 5. I'm going to give this one a 4.5.
Okay.
So combine that as an 8.75.
You forgot the Harry Dean Stanton rule. It's a 9.
You're right, it's a 9. Harry Dean Stanton raises the score up by a 0.25. This is a 9 hump movie. Apparently at test screenings for this movie, David Lynch claimed that somewhere like 300 people walked out.
What?
Because of I mean, it's a very violent movie.
It is extremely violent.
It's also very sexually overcharged.
Yeah.
But yeah, here you go. Let's look at that list. Wild at Heart, our 4th best A-tier movie. Our boy David Lynch. Guarantee you, we're going to get back to some David Lynch in the future.
Yeah.
And but that is a fun one to revisit. Highly check it out. I feel like it's also, I might want to rewatch it after a few months too, because I think it's like that with a lot of David Lynch movies. It's kind of, if you haven't seen them in a while, you really want to kind of go back a few times.
Yeah.
But check our show notes for links and other places to find us.
Death to all traitors.
Death to all traitors.
I can't take no more of this radio. I never heard so much shit in all my life. Sailor Ripley, you give me some music on that radio. This is instant. I made it.
He was victim of a sexual assault.
Mutilage, rape,